Well, hello everybody. I am the Orca Theory. Welcome back to Dark Souls 3. So we have one objective today, and it's going to be kind of a shorter episode to take care of that objective, but we're going to take on the Cursed Rotwood Tree, or whatever the hell it's called. So, in the Undead Settlement... Do I have a Bone Dead shirt? No, I do not. Do I have... Actually, let's take care of some business while I'm here. So we talked a little bit about the Undead Settlement and how they've been going about the business, so to speak. The Cursed Rotted Greatwood is the result of all of that nonsense. Their dissections, their undead quarrying, to be more specific. They have been dumping all of that stuff through the Moundmaker Covenant into that pit that we traveled into last episode, or what I think will be the last episode. We are actually going to the cliff underside. This is the most direct route for our purposes. So when they've been dumping undead there, it is my theory, and I don't think I'm alone in this. I've read some similar things online on NeoGAF and Reddit and the like, that the curse of the undead has now been tainting the very, very ground to which they were buried. So yeah, if you want to get there, all you have to do is just come up here, and then you can make basically a direct beeline. You gotta take a little bit of a fall damage here. So, the tree itself was naturally there, you know, just part of the architecture, part of the actual church building, in that big courtyard. But with the undead being buried into the soil in the pit below the church courtyard, that curse has now seeped up into its roots, and it has taken on... I thought maybe there would be... Am I not... You know what, why don't we... Oh no, I'm fully good. Has fully taken on the undead curse, the dark sign, so to speak. And there's a lot to do with the dark sign in this game, just in general. But this is the first real major commentary we've seen on the nature of the curse and transference of the curse, and how different societies have dealt with the curse as time has gone on. You gotta be careful with certain enemies in this area. You can see that guy had red eyes. The red eyes, white dragon. The red eyes, white dragon. They have more health, typically. So you just want to be careful. Take care of them when you see them. Like, I'm pretty sure this, yeah, hammer dude. Now, at some point, this tree is going to come to life. You start attacking these dudes, and that tree will magically spring to life. I'm trying to just get rid of as many as possible. So, you can see here, there are these big bulbous things just kind of hanging out in the front in the nutsack region. You want to pop these. And they are all over its body, and depending on the type of weapon that you have, you can reach certain ones. There's one right there, and it's caused him to be a little staggered. I don't think there's any more available to me right now. Maybe on one of his arms. Okay, so now begins the second phase of the fight, where the floor collapses, and we're now in the same area as the mound makers. And you want to try to pop those as soon as possible, not just because it activates really the main boss fight proper, but because there are more dudes that will continue to enter here. Top myself off. I'm doing alright. This claymore's badass. Gotta be careful of that. You can see here there's all those little pus modules all over his body, so you can kind of take your chances with one of them wherever his attacks are going, and you just want to be careful of that yellow stuff. I believe it does have some weapon degradation attached to it, but is he going to... He's going to roll back. Just taking my time. This boss fight really isn't an issue. He's big and he's menacing, but he isn't really a problem. Now he drops. Oh, firebomb. Gotcha. Nice, nice, nice. Are there any pus modules over here? Nope, nope, nope. He's still got the nutsack ones, too. You want to be careful of that arm. And so, anyways, I'm kind of rambling here in the middle of a boss fight. I'm really not good at it. This is a weak spot as well. That arm that has emerged from him, I believe that is a manifestation of the undead curse in there. We've seen the results of the Pus of Man. Udix Gundyr had the Pus of Man problem that sprouted out of him in the second half of that boss fight. We saw a couple of those guys back in the High Wall of Lothric. I believe this is that same symptom. Pus of Man being an extension of the undead curse, more or less. Whoop, 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 whoop. So now, yep. Probably should lock on there. Not bad, not bad. Ooh! Took a header there. Not really that big of an issue. If you get really stuck in this boss fight, if you're having a lot of trouble, just take your time. This guy moves very slowly, and the only attack you need to be worried about is from that arm. As you could see, the only time I really got hit was by an action to that arm. And he's down. Part of that is I'm using a strength, well, quality weapon, really. And I've upgraded it a fair amount. But, you know, as you can see, I'm not going out of my way to farm some Titanite or anything like that. So, now that we've beaten him and we're able to kind of freely explore this area, bonfire does pop up, but now we see Hodrick the Mad Knight, who was just hanging out here when, I guess, the ceiling collapsed. It would be the floor up there, but it's the ceiling here. If you do not get access to the Mound Makers before this point, you will be shut off from the Mound Makers for the rest of the game. And also the Seers of the Sunless Realms quest will now be completely void, because this is effectively his death date. He'll still be available as long as you have access to the Mound Makers, which we already did. That's why I wanted to go back and do that last time. We did get a couple of different items here. I want to read the Soul, the Rotted Greatwood. Used to acquire many souls, blah, blah, blah. Ever since its establishment, all manner of curses have managed to seep into the Undead Settlement. The worst of them were sealed away inside a spirit tree, but eventually the curses took their toll. I believe that curse that they're speaking about is the actual undead curse. Usually in Dark Souls, you kind of go for the most obvious evidence that you have. And, you know, we explored this place pretty thoroughly. And the only curse that was really evident there was the undead curse. So that is my assumption. We also got the transposing kiln, which we'll be bringing back to Firelink Shrine. An old transposing kiln from Cortland, crafted with stitched crystal lizard hide. Really cool. Give to Ludlith, Lord of Cinder, to conduct soul transposition. There's your clue about where to go. They just outright tell you. This kiln can transpose twisted souls to craft special items with their concentrated essence, deemed forbidden by those unable to make proper use of it. So, oh, we got the portrait. I never handed that in. I guess I gotta do that. So, this is just your boss soul kiln. In previous games, you had to give certain boss souls to certain craftsmen that can do things with them. In this game, it's just one dude back at Firelink Shrine. It's our good friend Ludlith of Cortland, so we're gonna go see him. And then he'll be able to take these boss souls from us and turn them into weapons. I think Dark Souls 1 had the best balance. Dark Souls 2, their system for getting boss weapons was split between two different NPCs, and you were able to get different types of weapons from both NPCs. But I actually went my entire first playthrough of Dark Souls 2 without getting, the bird lady. The bird lady from the Spider Realm. I forget her name, but I did not find her the first time. Which was my fault. I was an idiot.
Fret not, fret not. My feet are here firmly planted.
Good for you. Just good to see some of his dialogue. So we're gonna give him the transposing kiln.
Oh, belike it is a transposing kiln in thy possession. Seen better days, but methinks it shall suffice. Now, bring to me a twisted soul. Transposition is the art of extracting and coalescing the essence of a soul. In transposing a twisted soul, its true power transferreth to thee. Thy purpose is to seek lords and slay them. What's to fear in a little transposition now?
Nothing really. So there's some stuff here about Cortland and about Ludlith of Cortland, who was exiled from there. That's a very important thing. His exile is a point of contention, I think, with the community. Why was he exiled? Why was he sent out from Corland and still made a Lord of Cinder. I think a lot of it has to do with this transposing kiln. It's dark magic to kind of equate it to wider fantasy tropes, and I think that he was doing some really bad stuff with his transposing kiln back in Corland, and that's why he was subsequently cast out, and I think that's why he became a Lord of Cinder, to kind of regain some sense of honor. No, maybe not honor, but certainly integrity. So from here we can transpose our boss weapons into our boss souls into various boss weapons, and it tells you under the required items which soul will be consumed. So from Bort we get Vort's Great Hammer, and you can actually just read the descriptions here, which is really super nice, especially if you're lore hungry, because if you know, in the past games you had to actually get the weapon in order to read the lore, so new game plus cycles were a nightmare trying to get some of these things back, but you could just actively just read the descriptions here. Great hammer wielded by Vort, the outrider knight of the Boreal Valley. Weapon is imbued with frost and causes frostbite. Frost accumulates in the body, causing frostbite, which saps one's health. Yep. Pretty standard, like, large strength weapon. Doesn't have really great scaling. You see it's a C in strength. Its real asset is that frost damage, which in PvE is not really all that useful, but certainly in PvP there's some good applications for frost. His other item that we can get is the Pontiff's Left Eye, and this is our first real experience with Pontiff Sullivan. Bewitched ring that Pontiff Sullivan bestowed upon his knights. Knights who peer into the black orb are lured into battles of death, transformed into frenzied beast. No wonder the Pontiff only provides these rings to dispatch to foreign lands. So this is basically a gift ring from Pontiff Sullivan, who we will meet much later. And this is ultimately what turns Vort of the Boreal Valley into the crazed kind of maniac that he was. We saw him on all fours. He was acting like a bull charging at us. This is the ring that was responsible for that change in behavior. Not sure why you would just give this out. Certainly, dispatch into foreign lands, there's implications there that he was just trying to send out chaos. But we're going to find out a little bit more about the Outrider Knights in a little bit. And from the Rotted Greatwood, we get the Hollow Slayer Greatsword. This is the Lucatil of Mira sword from Dark Souls 2. Greatsword used for a lifetime by a masked knight. Harbors the fear that lurks within the minds of hollows and is particularly effective against them. Bestowed to a proper Mira Knight long ago, two-hand to execute special sword techniques. Pretty standard kind of claymore-esque weapon, not great scaling. I'm not actually sure if it has a damage boost against hollows. I'll have to do some testing on that. Maybe we'll actually do that, because I really do not like this weapon. Arstor's Spear, one of the curses that festered within the belly of the Greatwood, and a terrible weapon favored by Earl Arstor the Impaler. The spear is enwreathed in rotten, heavily poisonous meat. Defeating foes restores HP. So we get some lore dump on what was in the Greatwood, not particularly what the curse was from a specific standpoint, but we find out that this is Earl Arstor's spear, and Earl Arstor, for Dark Souls 1 folks, he was the Earl of Karim, responsible for the bite rings, more specifically the poison bite and the curse bite, all that stuff. He was a very interesting character in Dark Souls 1, pretty maniacal. Every character we meet from Karim is genuinely just a bad dude. So this is just evidence of that. Doesn't have great scaling in either strength or dexterity, and honestly, it's kind of a weak spear. So I am really not going to be getting any of these weapons. The only one that I can think of is the Pontiff's Left Eye. It does recover HP with successive attacks, which is kind of like a Bloodborne mechanic. If you played Bloodborne, if you got hit, you had that kind of shaded red bar, and if you continued attacking, you would recover health that way. And this is a similar mechanic. It's not quite as strong, but I think we're going to go with that one, because I'm really not interested in the Great Hammer. And I'm not interested in either one of these, and they do cost 1,000 souls each, so I'm just going to hold off on that. Okay?
Now, do not be away over long.
I will be away over long. So we do have some souls. I'm just going to show you guys what I'm going to do with the level up.
Welcome home, Ashen. Speak.
I actually don't know what I want to prioritize at this moment. Last episode talked a little bit about where the end game is. My strength is at 20. That's pretty good. I could honestly just use a bit more endurance. Raise my stamina up a little bit. So yeah, why don't we just bump that to 16? Okay.
Farewell,
And I just want to check on Grey Rat, make sure he's still... Oh, is he back or is he gone? He might have already come back.
Oh, hello. You've come at a good time. It took some prowling.
Oh, good. He did come back.
Made a score. Go on. Have a gander.
So let's see what items he's got now. Rope firebomb. That's different. We'll have to bring that up to the crows when I get a chance. He does bring us the Zweihander now. I believe the Pontiff Knight curved sword. That's different. S-Stock, I believe, is different. The Pontiff Knights, will be talking a lot about the Pontiff in future episodes, so I'm not going to harp on that. The Glaive, giving it finally the proper name after a few games. We also get some new armor sets here. I believe we get the Assassin armor and the Knight set. We get some new arrows too. We can actually buy fire arrows now, which might be handy. Fire in this game, as I've talked about, is just super balanced now to help out with the PvE. But I don't want to buy anything from him yet.
Goodbye.
So see you later, sucker. Taking care of some housekeeping. Let's reinforce a weapon if I can. Nope, can't do that. I need 5 more Titanite shards. So,
I don't want to see that.
so here's the plan for the next episode. I am actually gonna spend some off-camera time farming the Undead Settlement for various items, because there are some things that I would like to get and show you guys. Not necessarily in the way of weapons, but I would like, I have the worker hat, but I'd like to get some other armor sets and just some items, just see what I missed more or less. And then I will report back on that at the beginning of the next episode, and then we will head towards the Crucifixion Woods. Booyah, my favorite type of woods. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you for joining me. If you're having trouble with the Cursed Rod of Greatwood, just kind of follow this video. I show you a potentially really easy strategy, especially with a strength weapon. Bye-bye.